Hello, my sweet friends. This is Jessie McKeon, also Raggedy Auntie. I've gone live here on our YouTube first, so I'm going to hop onto Raggedy Auntie's Instagram, and I'm pointing up because my camera for that one is up. I'm actually using two devices, which may marvel some, but let's get going on Instagram with my cell phone, and then we're going to read a new book, another book. So earlier, I couldn't log into our um our YouTube from the Book Nook. So I came over here to church. So welcome to my church office. I'm going to get rolling with another live video for Raggedy Auntie. And if you're here watching, go ahead and comment. It's a different angle on these two different devices, but this is going to be a good time. We all learn. Hello, my sweet friends on Raggedy Auntie. So, Raggedy Auntie, your camera is up here if you're on Raggedy Auntie's Instagram. If you're on the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke's YouTube, your camera is right here. So, I'm going to kind of look between the two. I'm going to make sure that everybody can see our lovely illustrations in all different now. Now, if you're on Raggedy Auntie's Instagram, this is going to appear a little backwards to you. On YouTube, it doesn't. So, we're learning. This is my first time going live in two different places. I'm so thankful to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke for affording me this opportunity to read some amazing Juneteenth books. This one's called All Different Now. Earlier today, we read Juneteenth from Maisie, which is about a little girl today in modern times learning about her great 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 grandpa Moses' participation in that day at Ashton Villa when the proclamation was read in Galveston, Texas. This book tells us about what happened that day. And it was written by Angela Johnson and illustrated by E.B. Lewis. Some of these illustrations are just so beautiful that I'm going to give us some time to look at them. And let's get started. A June morning breeze off the port, that's the port of Galveston, blew the smell of honeysuckle past the fields, across the yard, and into our room to wake us. And this is one of those beautiful illustrations. Look at the sunlight going across this. This is our narrator. Look at the sunlight going across her face, waking her up. Do you wake up with the sunlight? I do. And nobody knew, as we ate a little, talked a little, and headed to the fields as the sun was rising, that soon it would all be different. Then we worked and worked and worked some more under the hot Texas sun. Finding the sweet spot for these illustrations between my two cameras until word spread from the port to town, through the countryside, and into the fields. That a Union general had read from a balcony that we were all now and forever free, and things would be all different now. I watched as my Aunt Laura sang as she held her baby. Mr. Jake, who some say was 100, cried quietly, and a group of grown people bowed their heads and whispered things to each other I could not hear. Look at all the different people. Everybody's having a different reaction to the news. My mama held my hand softly and looked beyond as another breeze blew over and everything fell to a hush. But later, Papa, Mama, the aunts and uncles, and all of my cousins had an afternoon picnic by the water. My baby brother crawled around our blanket as we listened to the sounds of the waves. And as more people joined us, we ate as a free people, laughed as free people, and told stories as free people. On into the night. What was before would be no more. As we walked back home, the cool of the night soothed our tired feet that padded quietly past the shadowy fields of cotton. And in the morning, the smell of honeysuckle will wake me again beside my sisters and brother to a time that will be for all of us. All different now. And look, they're moving away from the slave quarters. So this story is about a young girl who was a slave and woke up on the morning of the proclamation that was read in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, the original Juneteenth, not 1865, not 1965, 1865. And that word spread. Now, this is one of my favorite illustrations because it shows us that the word that we started in the docks down in Galveston, Texas, which is an island off the coast of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico, where that proclamation was read. It still had to travel through the port, through Galveston, the town of Galveston, across the water into other towns, and then up through the different villages and into the fields. So it happened throughout the day. It happened throughout the week. And you know what? This story with the picture of the Ashton Villa, where that Union general read the proclamation, it happened 2 years after slaves were actually freed. So one thing that we can remember on Juneteenth when we're celebrating with our friends who are African American, our friends who are descendants of these slaves, one thing that we can remember is that news traveled so slowly then that some people didn't know that they were free. And what happened on Juneteenth was the final story. The final slaves were freed. Now, we know that we still have some work to do. We still have some recognition to proclaim, and we have a lot of things that we can do to help out and help equality and equity happen. Those are big words for fairness and freedom. So today, while you drink your red drink and you celebrate with your friends of color, remember that when we get good news like this, when we get good news of freedom and good news of equality, we can help spread that news. I hope that you stay happy, stay healthy, and keep reading. And join me at 1 o'clock for our last book. See you then. Bye-bye.